off in prayer. If you would join me as we pray. Lord, we are praying for a clear mind today so that we can welcome any knowledge, any insights that you are sharing with us. We ask for you to open our eyes so that we can see clearly, open our ears to hear those who call in need. Lord, we ask for you to help us open our hands ready to share with others all the blessings you've so richly given us. Give us an understanding on how to begin anew. Give us a fresh glimpse into what you have in store for us. Cover up our inadequacies, my inadequacies, Lord, by the fullness of your resources. I pray for us not to miss a single opportunity to do the work that you have planned for us, Lord, and we ask for you to bless this call today and bless all that are here, and thank you for the work that you allow us to do. In your precious name we pray. So, okay, seasonal ministry plan for affirmation. We at OCC, we as Christians are a people of prayer, and we believe in the power of prayer. We read in 2 Thessalonians 1:11, to this end, we always pray for you, that our God may make you worthy of his calling and may fulfill every resolve for good and every work of faith by his power. There is a gentleman that was born in the 18th century named Samuel Chadwick. He worked at an early age in a cotton mill and was a lay pastor at the age of 21. Later on, he went on to further his education and had a lot of writings on the power of prayer. And I have a quote for you from Samuel Chadwick. Satan dreads nothing but prayer. The church that lost its Christ was full of good works. Activities are multiplied that meditation may be ousted, and organizations are increased that prayer may have no chance. Souls may be lost in good works as surely as in evil ways. The one concern of the devil is to keep the saints from praying. He fears nothing from prayerless studies, prayerless work, prayerless religion. He laughs at our toil, mocks at our wisdom, but trembles when we pray. I love that. Some of the things in the prayer were from John Bailey, a diary of prayer, and I love the way that the Lord opens up when you're in your quiet time with him and when you're in devotion, that he just puts things right there in front of you that are so pertinent to what we're doing. So why are we making changes? Why are we doing a new ministry plan? Those of you that have been around for a while know that we've worked on several different formats, and we just wanted you to know that we've heard your feedback, we've listened to your comments, and we've heard your cries. So this is a new format that addresses a couple of challenges that we have. Before, we've spent a huge amount of time on ministry plan. Many of us, myself included, have found it challenging and not necessarily a useful tool. So we're working to have a document that brings laser focus to the season at hand. God created the world into seasons. OCC works with seasons. So we're working to have our ministry plan address that. So we've got a laser focus for just a season, but at the same time, it's helping us to evaluate results. So sharing another quote with you. This is a quote from Thomas Edison, and it says, "Being busy does not always mean real work. The object of all work is production or accomplishment, and to either of these ends, there must be forethought, system, planning, intelligence, honest purpose, as well as perspiration. Seeming to do is not doing." So I love that one too. That was a great one. Okay, so the challenges that we address for this seasonal ministry plan is, number one, to prevent confusion. And when you look at some of the old ministry plan documents, you're like, I don't even know where to start. I just befuddled. So it also takes the guesswork out and gives clear goals for the area team, but at the same time it aligns with the regional goals. So you've got that in front of you too. And you're not just going off on a tangent. It's a useful document that is relevant to the season, and helps us focus. It helps the teams to be proactive. So we're ready to go on January 2nd. We're ready to start out running with affirmation on January the 2nd. The other thing that it addresses is the urgency of the gospel. Jim Harrelson always is talking about the urgency of the gospel. In Psalms 39:4, the scripture says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered and that my life is fleeing away. The quarterly format that we're looking is simple. It gives us a greater focus that we can, by just looking at 3 months at a time instead of looking at the whole year. Each quarter can be seen at a glance for evaluation and for an inspection both. And it allows the AC and the ministry coordinator to use the document each month for their coaching calls. So we're going to pull up the church relations. So in the new document, in the seasonal ministry plan for affirmation, every ministry role has their own page.
Kathy?
Yes.
I don't know if anybody else is seeing the same thing. At one point I was seeing your PowerPoints, and then all of a sudden I lost them. And I'm just seeing the photos of everybody.
Me too. Wait, now it just came up though.
Oh, now I got it. Okay.
So you can see it now. Cool beans. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. So this is the page for the church relations ministry team. Every ministry role will have their own page. We're just starting out with church just to give you a glimpse of what to look at. So when you look at the seasonal ministry plan for affirmation up at the top, it has a heading. There's your heading is seasonal. Thank you, Shelley. She's moving her arrow around for you. Seasonal ministry plan affirmation. And then to the right of that, you'll notice there's a place, shoebox goal. You can type in your shoebox goal. Okay. And so then we're going to move down to the tools section. Tools. How can we accomplish our ministry goals? This is the how. So under tools, there's seasonal activities that are listed with dates and deadlines. This is going to replace your AC calendar. So you're not going to have that extra document to look at. You're going to have, this is going to be all encompassing one document. Right beside the seasonal activities is the resources. So there's a lot of resources that are listed for you. This is not a totally complete list. This is not exhaustive. You can always add more if you want to list more down there. But it just is to give you a jump start, just to get you ahead of the game. All right, so looking down on the bottom left, ministry goals. These are broad, big picture goals. What do we want to accomplish? And the region is going to pre-populate these for us. These are the regional overarching goals that'll be there listed for you. The area team will have freedom to add more specific goals as they go along. And say you just wanted to add another goal that was part of your SMART goals, your specific goal you wanted to add. Develop a strategy for the Brumbelow Challenge. So you would just type it in number 6, develop a strategy for the Brumbelow Challenge. Shelley, are we typing or no?
Yes, give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Stand by. I'm picturing, as I'm highlighting these things, I'm picturing like the little bouncing dot, you know, that comes up under the cartoon music.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. Having issues. See? Can everybody see? I added the ministry coordinator goals. So these right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the ministry goals. And then your ministry coordinator may have more specific goals. For instance, have all team members equipped to share recruitment message. Or equip team member number 1, who we've been calling Sue for some reason, to be effective and confident to make affirmation calls. So these can be more team specific.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So if you'll remember, those of you that were able to be at the area coordinator planning meeting at the beginning of last year, Nina brought up or key concepts of who will do what by when. So the goals are what to accomplish, the tools are how, and the activity, the action steps is who will do it and when. So if we look down, we've talked about ministry goals a bit, and we've looked down, we're on the block for debrief. Ideally, you evaluated the 2018 affirmation season at your March or April meetings, and you have this information. So debrief is basically what worked, what didn't work, what's our successes, what are our challenges. So if you don't have this information, because you're a new team just starting out, you will be working hard to be able to pull this in, as we're going through the different seasons. Or if you didn't do a debrief, you have the opportunity to go back and ask team members, do you remember something that really worked well during affirmation season last year? That's a long way for them to reach back. They may not have particulars for you, but it doesn't hurt to ask if you haven't done this. But if you have and you have your debrief, this box is where you're going to put in your successes and where you're going to put in your challenges for that. So, for example, successes number one that is populated here. It'll say we had a steady increase in churches who were challenged to meet a goal. Okay. Number two, under success, churches with project leaders in the Facebook group grew by 10% or more. So this is an interactive question, so I'd love for you to jump in here. A question for you. So looking at under debrief and success number one, which would be steady increase in churches who were challenged to meet a goal. What are some steps that you could take to build on this information? You know this was a success you had, and you know that you want to hold on to that and use that for your action steps. Does somebody have a thought on how we could build on that, how we can incorporate that?
And Kathy, just to clarify that a little bit, it's funny how you type things and then you read it back and it's like, I can see how people could take this differently. But this is really saying that when you did challenge a church to meet a goal, you saw increases in their shoebox numbers. So anyway, I don't know if it read that way when you just read it, but that's the intent of it.
Okay, so in that case, we would want a goal to be, let's challenge more churches to set a goal that's increased by 10%.
Right. Thank you, Kathy. Right. Okay. All right. So you kind of get the picture. This is what you're using that debrief information, and you're going to debrief at the end of each season. You're going to have your debrief meeting. When you have your meeting, you're just going to do a quick debrief: what worked, what didn't work, what was our successes, what was our challenge at the end of each season. All right, so looking at your debrief information that you've collected, looking at the regional ministry goals that were populated in already, looking at your specific goals that you've added, let's look over to the action steps. And action steps are who will do what by when. And so our action steps can be set up however you want. This is your own document for you to look at. Our committee members, we got from A to B on a totally different route. So this is, your action steps are the way you think. You can set it up by goal, by person, by dates. Just remember when you're working through these, each team member has a job to do and to meet these particular goals. So let's walk through this just a little bit. Look back under ministry goals. Number one, set goals with participating churches. All right. So you could set it up where the example number one for goal one is by goal, and then it's by team member, and then it's by month. And so you're looking down, my ministry coordinator in January is going to host an affirmation equipping meeting on January 4th. So you've got the who will do what by when listed right there. So keep going down. Their next action item is select key churches for each team member by January 4th. And then in February, your ministry coordinator is going to inspect the team member number one's calls and provide feedback. Okay, and then you can go down and list it. Same thing. The team member number one. This is what they're going to do. Develop a script. Practice with team member number two, and it's just boom, 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 going down. My clearest way of thinking is bullet points. So that's just one way that you can sit and look at it. And then you can list it out. Rhoda, Rhett, whatever is going to do this. So you've got it totally set out. This page is set up so that it'll just keep getting bigger if you need to make it longer. So it can just move along as you're setting up. And then you would go back to goal number two. Who's going to do what? And when are they going to do it to meet goal number two under your ministry goals? So you kind of get the idea this way. So our example number two is set up by team member, by month, and by goal. And so if this is your clear way of thinking that you want to try to work on it this way, you can look at January, boom, is affirmation equipping meeting, coffee shop recruitment, develop sample project leader newsletter. So this gives you another way to think of it, and then you can move down under the same example. Team member number one is going to do this. So it really, you have a lot of freedom to set this up however you want. You're just looking to see, who is doing what by when. So we're going to open it up. I know I can see your hands raised. Not really, but so we're going to open it up for questions in just a minute. But so now that you've seen this ministry plan, I hope it's clear for you that you can understand how it merges the old ministry plan with the AC calendar, so you've got fewer documents that way. It allows the area coordinator and the ministry coordinator to focus on one area at a time. It's just not so much for those of you that are super big picture thinkers. Big picture thinkers on there. We've got the regional goals right there, so it's not like you're off on a wild tangent. You've got the regional goals listed for you, and you've added your specific goals. So it is all one there at a glance, all one page. And the thing that I love for the AC is you can pull from this for your information for your coaching call with your MC. And if you don't have an MC in place, besides your recruiting, what's going to happen, so your church team is not just floating out there, so that your church team can be set up for success as they move along. The document can be used for those that have ministry coordinators in place. They can just look at it and they can see the activities of the quarter. It's not, what are we going to do next kind of thing. It's already there. It's already set up, and we are proactive moving ahead with all of it. It's another thing that I like because we've all got team members that are not necessarily functioning at a high level, so it gives you some accountability to be able to look and say, this is what we talked about, we reminded you about it, and is it getting done type thing. But remember that we all have a job to do, and we do it better when we work together as a team. So those are just a couple of things for you to think about as you're going along. But Shelley's going to talk about timeline and rollout and open it up for questions.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. One thing that I was just laughing about, Kathy, as you were talking, was that when I was kind of putting scenarios in here for team members, the name Rhoda just kept coming to my mind, and it just cracked me up. Like, we don't even have a Rhoda that I know of, but in my scenario, it was always Rhoda. Don't know why. All right. So real quickly, before I address the rollout, let me just kind of scroll and let you see the whole ministry plan. I don't think this will be confusing. So you can see that, like Kathy was saying, it's page by page. So you've got one page. This is the area coordinator page. You can see that here on the left. So this is your AC page. Then you scroll down, and then you've got your church. Scroll down, you've got community. So I really do, like Kathy was saying, our hope is this will be really easy as you get to having your coaching calls. You just pull out one page, and you can see at a glance what they're doing. So prayer, logistics, we've got every page, on here. And then down here at the bottom left, you can see that right now I'm on the affirmation tab. So this is everything for affirmation. Then when you get ready to do your engagement, seasonal planning, we'll go to engagement. And then we'll go to support. So everything, at least in our minds, is, you know, well organized and sectioned out, so you can just take a piece at a time as you need it. So like Kathy said, I just wanted to share a little bit about just kind of how we envision this rolling out and what this means for you as you're moving forward. Right now, I think some of your regional points of contact have already scheduled meetings with you to go over this. And our plan is to meet with each of you one-on-one sometime in September or at the latest early October. And we're hoping that that can just help us, you know, answer any questions for you, help you customize it to fit where you are and where your team is, and, you know, help with any formatting issues. So we'll be available and want to participate with you in filling this out and generating ideas. After that, I think most likely you're going to want to meet with your leadership team if you have ministry coordinators. I think one thing you could think about is setting up your leadership team meeting for September or October, just a time that you can get with your ministry coordinators and kind of do a mini debrief meeting like we've done before in January. And like Kathy said, you can use this debrief section, you know, down here if you have notes from when you had your evaluation and equipping meetings last year. If you already have your feedback for how did affirmation go this past year, then that's really what you're wanting to discuss and kind of come up with ideas for, okay, this worked, this didn't. What are we going to do this year to see a growth in church participation? So getting with your leadership team and or key team members, if you don't have ministry coordinators, is something I think you'll want to do, you know, September, early October. And then your affirmation seasonal equipping meeting. So the meetings we've been having each season to get your team equipped for the season coming up and also evaluate on the previous season. That meeting, you have some freedom on when you want to host that, but it needs to happen sometime between now and the very 1st of January. Because like Kathy said, one of the benefits of this plan is that we can just spring into affirmation. No longer do we have to wait until we have our ministry plan together in March. We can have an actual strategy January 2, and people can start, you know, acting on it. So you can just think what's best for your team. I've heard some people say, hey, early December is a great time. You know, people aren't traveling. They're in between holidays. It's downtime. Have at it. If you want to have your meeting in December, that's great. Or if you want to have it that first week of January, that's great. I would say just work with your regional point of contact to kind of figure out what makes sense, you know, for you and your team. But that will be your opportunity to really sit down and get these goals kind of pushed down all the way to the team member level so that every team member knows this is what I'm doing to increase church participation. This is what I'm doing to see each of my, you know, project leaders come into closer community or whatever that is. So, so that's kind of what this looks like. And then moving forward, just so you have a little bit of an idea, at our AC planning meeting in January, our plan is to go ahead and start thinking about our engagement plans. So we'll be a little bit early there, but it'll go ahead and get your juices flowing and start thinking about, okay, we've already started affirmation, so let's get started thinking about engagement. And then in the summer, you'll be doing your support planning. So I think there will be some definite benefits there. And Kathy, I don't know if you said this, but one thing that Kathy had shared as we were getting together was that I think it was Debbie Andrews had an idea just recently about something she wanted to do during National Collection Week. And that idea just came to her. So if we had been under kind of our old system of where we're having this year-long ministry plan, you know, not that you couldn't have implemented it, but typically we're not going to have great ideas about National Collection Week in January. You know, that's not really when our best ideas come. And so now, as we're doing it this way, it's much more timely. And so Debbie's idea about drop-off locations would be great, you know, as we're thinking about National Collection Week, if we're doing our planning for that season, you know, a little bit closer to the actual season. So now we're just going to open it up for questions, and we have lots of time, so we want to just enable you to ask whatever we can demonstrate on here. So what questions do you have?
This is Roxy, and I just have a question on, you mentioned the scrolling on the action steps. As we add to that, that will scroll. How does this, I just maybe don't see it coming together yet. If I'm scrolling, I'm going to have action steps, but I'm needing to perhaps number them so they match up to the goal. I'm afraid I'm going to get lost in all my action steps.
So it is not going to go straight across unless you make it go straight across, Roxy. My understanding. So Tracy, Shelley, do y'all want to speak into that or go? I am a big color person, so if I was taking this, I would highlight my goal number one would be bolded number one on the other side, but it would probably be the same color in my mind. So you really have total creativity to make this however you want. You can do ABC, you can do it by color, underline all the team, however you want it to do, but it will get bigger. It will not necessarily scroll, but it'll grow, as you're adding all that in.
Okay. And this,
Roxy, you may, because you have a lot of team members, so for you, church relations, you might have your ministry coordinator and 3 or 4 team members. So for bigger teams, this likely will become a two-page document for you. But you'll just as you add more things in, it'll just roll over to the next page. But you'll have space, for each team member. But like Kathy said, I think if you highlight each team member or highlight each goal, however you're organizing it, you'll be able and kind of the idea is, if this helps you, Roxy, when you're meeting with your church coordinator, you're kind of looking more high level and you're looking at these to-do items that she's got, right, during your coaching call. You're kind of looking and saying, okay, what are you doing in January, February? And then for your church coordinator, as they're meeting with Rhoda, your team member Rhoda, she's looking right here. She's looking at team member number 1, and she's just looking at what Rhoda's doing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, I'm just trying to put it together. So, yeah, workable.
So
Thanks. Good ideas.
Like with your team, at a glance, this is going to look, I think it will look like a jumble of information.
Massive. Yeah.
Like Kathy said, just bold it or highlight it so you can tell the difference between one goal and the next.
Okay. Thank you. Good ideas.
Good question.
Well, I'm so new to this, I'm afraid I'm kind of going to need a lot of help. But those, as I understand it, those ministry goals, those first 5 things, those are kind of coming, like I would be getting those from you all, from Shelley or from Jody, those kind of top 5. And then we're adding specific things, so numbers, 6 through whatever are things that we're kind of coming up with together and talking through with them. Have I got that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. I got it. Good.
And that's kind of part of the point of that meeting in the fall with your regional point of contact, because there's going to be questions as you're going through, and you can learn from each other. It's interesting to hear the metro versus rural, or I have coordinators, I don't have coordinators, and get ideas, best practices from each other.
Will the region coordinators have access to this too?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear very well. What did you say?
Will the regional coordinator or our managers have access to this at the same time?
Tracy, Shelley, I want to answer that.
I would say yes. We're still tweaking a bit on the formatting, and I'm not quite sure where we're going to land. But right now we actually have them in a Google Doc, which is one of those things that multiple people can be looking at and working at the same time. And so Danny, you would be working on it, and Tricia could also pull it up and be looking at what you're looking at the same time. Or if we end up using another format, this would be something that you would fill in and then save, onto our box documents where we keep our shared documents. And then you and Tricia could be looking at it together once you've saved it on there.
Okay, I was just wondering if this would be a balance check between us.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Hello, this is Joaquin. Yeah. So sorry. First of all, it's a comment. The idea of having a seasonal focus is fantastic because then we can be much more focused. So this is, I think, a very good improvement. Did you talk about the deadline for the affirmation ministry plan? I imagine it's sometime in the fall.
And actually, thank you, Joaquin. That was something I was supposed to say, and I didn't. But yes, and kind of how we're handling that, we're not going to set the same deadline for every single team. We're going to let you work that out with your regional point of contact. And, depending on the stage of your team and where you are, we can come up with a deadline that makes sense individually for each of you. But you're absolutely right. For everybody, the deadline's going to be, we have to have it done before the next season starts. So I would say, for us, everybody will want theirs done by that first week of January, because then that's when we're going to jump in, and implement the plan. But Joaquin, for your team, you may choose to say, I really want to have this done, before National Collection Week, and go ahead and share it with people, or you may say middle of December, I think that you can have some flexibility with when you have it ready.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, I can see you're wanting to get it done before National Collection Week. You're thinking about it.
Anybody else? Questions? So one of the elephant in the room questions is, we're cranking into our busy season. So yeah, I can hear that one coming up. But to me, I so want to get ahead. I am more comfortable. I hate flying by the seat of my pants. So, and to me, it is honoring to God. It is biblical to get ahead and to work ahead. And as you're leading your team, this is part of your responsibility. Let's get ahead. Let's set our teams up for success. So that's what I like about this. That's poor Mark and Debbie get the opportunity to work with me, and and it's just that was one of the things on my agenda is, okay, we're getting ahead, this year. So to me, this helps everybody. It just, it helps you be successful. And I know some of you use the old ministry plan to great success. But I like this. I like the tool, and I wanted to thank the regional office for listening to us, because they have spent a tremendous amount of time getting this, listening to feedback, and we're like, no, one more thing, and so I just I appreciate you going into it with an open heart and giving it a try.
Kathy, could I ask one question?
Sure.
This is Tracy.
Okay.
I would love to hear from the area coordinators, like if any of you like to play that devil's advocate role, the devil's advocate, and look at the flip side of it. We would love to have your feedback if you see something in this that you think is not going to work, because now is the time for us to fix it.
Yeah.
So if you see something from what you've seen thus far that you think we could do better, or need some further explaining, because I know y'all have been pretty quiet, and so I just wanted to throw that out there, that if you see something that you think this doesn't make sense, or have you thought about that, I would love to hear that feedback.
So
This is Debbie.
Go ahead.
The one thing that I caught, Shelley mentioned that it might be live on Google Docs, the ministry plan. I can't see how that would work very well, because we are so individual, like you said, some have ministry coordinators, some have none, some have this number, some have that number. So all of our ministry plans would look totally different. So I cannot see how you could keep track of it live, like on Google Docs, like we do the events calendar. I could see how you could put it in box so that y'all could see our progress and our updates and things like that, one-on-one, but not as a whole group. That's the only thing that kind of jumped in my mind whenever you mentioned that.
That's a good point, Debbie. And so in Google Docs, it will be like the Gulf Coast will have their own document. The Alabama Tri-County will have their own document. So you won't be sharing documents with in each other. You'll each have your own document if we end up in Google Docs. But thanks for that. That's a great point.
So this is Kathy. I have a question. How easy is this document to cut apart? Say if I wanted to print or give the church relations team their section. I'm not an Excel wizard, so am I going to be able to do that?
Yeah, Kathy, that's our goal, is that everybody will be able to say, okay, I'm going to give the church team their page, and it'll be all on one page. Now, like Shelley said, if you have a large team with many team members, it'll probably be 2 pages, but that was one of our goals in putting this together, was that you would be able to say, church coordinator, here's your ministry plan. Community coordinator, here's your copy of your ministry plan, so that they're focusing just on their section, and then you've still got the overall section to look at.
Okay, what I think I saw when you all had the document up there was 3 tabs for each season, but in those tabs, like, you can't have sub-tabs, can you? Like, so, anyway, you'll just teach me how to do it. Okay.
Each tab has like 8 pages. There's a page for the AC ministry plan, there's a page for the church ministry plan, a page for the community ministry plan, all the way down.
I saw that, but it looked like that was just the scrolling portion. So how do you get out just the church part?
You can print just 1 page.
Okay.
Yeah, when you choose it. And like if you're setting up your email for this is what we're going to talk about at our coaching conversation, or this is what we did talk about for our coaching conversation, you know, you're copy and pasting that body into your email.
Okay.
I have a question. If we download this document to work on it, how do we get it back into the folder for like y'all to see? Because I don't have unlimited internet, so I do a lot of my stuff offline.
That's a good question, Gina.
Who's going to answer this one?
Sorry, I had muted myself. I'll tell you what my answer is, but I'd rather hear Shelley's.
No, you go. You go.
So that is one of the formatting issues that we're still working on, is trying to figure out details like that, and that's why we have not said for sure it's going to stay in a Google Doc, because that's a very good point. If you don't, like, you would have to work on it in the Google Doc. And I'm not familiar enough with Google Docs to know if you can actually copy and paste it, say, into a Word doc and work it separately. So that is a great question, Gina. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something for us to troubleshoot before we actually roll it completely out.
Y'all are so smart.
What is the anticipated date of rollout if we get the bugs ironed out of it?
September 10th.
September 10th? You gotta be kidding me.
We're actively working on it, Roxy. This is our top priority, so we're working to get the kinks out as quickly as we can.
Not a joke. Okay.
Not a joke. No.
Well, no, it's not a joke.
Back to Gina's problem, that also pulls into mind with it being live in Google Docs to work on it. If your ministry coordinators are going to do input in their part and update their parts, are they going to have access to that, or are they going to send it to us? If they do, then you're going to have to solve that problem of how do we put their part into it, because we won't be the only ones working on it. So, you know, there's more questions about working offline and adding that in there than we might realize.
Yeah.
Great
So in a Word document, multiple people could work on it then and make the edits.
So you could give them the link and they could work in their section even while you're working in it.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of Google Docs, is that multiple people can be in it, working in it. And that's why as staff, a lot of our documents now are Google Docs, because we are always in there. But I do see I do see that there are challenges if you're, like Gina said, if you're downloading and your ministry coordinator's downloading. I mean, you'd have to merge everything together at some point.
Right.
You'd have to merge everything together at some point. So, yeah, I do see that there are challenges if you're, like Gina said, if you're downloading and your ministry coordinator's downloading. I mean, you'd have to, you'd have to merge everything together at some point.
Good questions. Anybody else? Okay. So Roxy, I can see you. So yay, you want to move to highlights, Shelley?
Sure, yeah.
So Roxy, you were going to share highlights about your amazing project leader workshops.
Yes. We were down 6 drop-offs at the beginning of the year. We lost 6 last year. So our logistics team has been very busy this year building up that. And when we did our ministry plan in January, we decided that we would increase our project leader workshops. Last year we had 2. So this year we said, well, at least do 3. So we got blown away this year. We were able to get 4 new drop-offs, including 1 new central drop-off. We might still get 1 more before the year's out. But we decided a way to have our project leaders aware of these new drop-offs and meet the new drop-off team leaders was to have a project leader workshop at every single drop-off. So far, we've got 11 completed. We're hoping maybe we can get 1 or 2 more.
Wow.
But from our goal of 3, we met 11. So hats off to my team. They're working busy bees.
Wow, that's awesome. Awesome.
Roxy, have you seen any fruit so far from that, or anything specific that you can?
3 prospects out of 1 project leader workshop. So we're jumping on those.
Excellent.
So it's very workable.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. The month of August has been very, very busy.
Yeah.
In fact, we did 1 project leader workshop in Florence in the morning and Russellville in the evening. And we did another one in Coleman in the morning. And I want to say Woolly Springs in the evening, but I'm not sure. But anyway, we were doubling them up morning and afternoon. So been very busy. We're hoping these 3 prospects will work out well too.
Roxy, what does your team look like? I just was curious about the size of your team.
Oh, we have 30 people. We have all but student relations and media. All of our ministry coordinators are in place. We have grown from 2 church relations team members to 6. And we have these 3 new prospects that we're working on. We just did 2 coffee shops and have 3 or 4 people coming out of that we're proceeding with and talking to. So the team is definitely growing. God has blessed us abundantly. We've done a lot of hard work, but he's the one that's making people step up, and we couldn't do it without him. So the west side of the state was one of our focuses, over on the Mississippi line. The Florence and the Shoals and south of there. That team is really growing, and we're now focusing on the Huntsville and south down to the Coleman area.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Nina, are you on? I can't talk and walk at the same time.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Nina, you want to share with us one of your awesome stories?
I will. The last time I talked to everybody, I had laryngitis, and I didn't get to really talk. You didn't get to hear me. So it's good to be with all of you today. I just wanted to share what was happening in Clarksdale. Last year, we made the hard decision to let a drop-off go before we even had a replacement. The former drop-off team leader actually recommended a church and a drop-off team leader from that church, and we've just had the best time with her and getting her ready to serve, and she's already begun serving. God has multiplied already the number of churches who have committed to pack boxes. She had a countdown event last Saturday and had people there that we did not have connections with before. There was a representative from a Mennonite school that came and asked a lot of questions, and she left with 70 boxes that she committed to pack with her group. And I'd just like to share an in-here praise that we have. Laura is the new drop-off team leader's name, and her husband does not attend church regularly, and he really hasn't cared a whole lot for her little projects that she works in. He doesn't care that she does them. He just doesn't care to hear a lot about them. But he has become fascinated with the structure and the strategies of OCC, and he's asked a lot of questions. And before the countdown event that morning, he hugged her and he told her that he was proud of her and he hoped that things went well. And he even said that he would pray for the event. So we've been praying really hard. His first name is John. And so I'd ask you to continue to pray for him. He's been on our prayer list as the Northwest team. And so we're just excited to share that in here, victory as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Dinah. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Shelley, Tracy, do y'all have something else that you want to share?
I would just say, if anybody else, we knew of those two stories, but does anybody else have anything, that you're excited about that's happened in your area, a highlight or a success?
Well, we had our first countdown last Thursday. We had 57 people there.
Wow.
20 different churches and 3 pastors. So I was really excited about that.
Oh, that's great, Gina.
Now, is that unusual for your countdowns? Like, was that a huge number for you?
No, we, at this particular one, which is actually my church, we usually have around 40 something.
Okay.
So it wasn't a whole lot, but more than we normally have. But anyway, I thought it was really good because we had, part of the different churches was from our church, our area team members. But anyway, we normally have probably 6 or 7 different churches, but this time there was, I think, 20 different churches represented with those.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hey, Shelley, this is Joaquin. I don't have an event or something to share like that, but I would ask my colleague ACs that if we don't have much experience doing project leader workshops. And so should you have one that is within driving distance, I would take as many members as are willing to come and just experience what you guys do in your project leader workshops so that we can then execute maybe 1 or 2 in 2019.
Absolutely, Joaquin. That's a great way just to get some experience and kind of see what they look like. So Mark or Gina or, some of you guys around Atlanta, if you've got some things going, let Joaquin know.
Thank you, Joaquin. Thank you, Gina. I'm feeling your pain with the internet. You just froze while you were talking, so that's why I didn't respond any better to you, because I couldn't tell if you could hear me or not. But so Debbie Andrews is not sharing, so I'm going to share just a quick story about her. She is building her team. She's heavy on logistics and has a new church relations coordinator, and they just did 2 project leader workshops and got 5 prayer partners out of it. And that's why I was asking Roxy earlier when she had these marvelous success stories, because it was Debbie and Aaron and her central drop-off team leader. So they were doing all of it. So they just boom, 2 in a week, right? Or last week. Was it last week? My weeks are running together. But so that was a neat thing. And what Shelley mentioned before, their prayer partners, not necessarily was one of her goals earlier in the year, but she's cranking on the prayer partners lately. So yay. So that's, to me, that pulls back into that seasonal focus a little bit too. So it's just like, yay, things are, the Lord's opening up things per season. And I have one more quick story to share, but I just wanted to make sure that nobody else had something that they thought of while we were talking. Does anybody else have another story or anything?
Well, I will say, Kathy Stroud is the one that suggested to me to go ahead and do 2 project leader workshops in 1 week, because the stuff's already in your car. and when you're carrying materials around. And that, for me, I did find much easier. And when I came home, Kathy had said that Kay Parker, I think, keeps her stuff in her garage so that it's easy to load back up. So I found some sweater size boxes. And so, because my garage is not conducive to keeping cardboard boxes, and I put all my stuff out there so that it's just easy. I labeled out there, slid what's in the box, a piece of paper in there to tell me what's in the box, so that I can make sure I have enough of each thing. And once you get a project leader workshop down for where you're comfortable sharing it, it's easy to duplicate. So Joaquin, once you do the first one, the next one comes much easier. It took me 3 hours to set up for my first one because I was trying to figure out how to do it all. And then my second one, it was less than an hour. I knew what I was going in to do, even though every fellowship hall is different. It was much easier to set up the next time. So, and I'm still, I call myself new, even though this is my third season. And some of this stuff, even as we talk about ministry plans, is overwhelming. That as we went into these project leader workshops, I understand Prayer Network partners now more than I did when I started. So each little thing, you may have to hear it several times before you understand how to build it or how to use it, just like the project leader workshop. Like, once you conquer it, you understand it, and you can build on it and look for something else to build on. So for those of you that are new, I'm still overwhelmed sometimes when we talk about these things. So don't be overwhelmed. We'll all figure these things out together.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. That's awesome. That's just perfect. That's icing on the cake right there. All right. So I'm going to share one other little story that I have shared with Debbie and shared with Mark during the year. Is the Northwest Georgia area team had a central drop-off location that had been in place for like 15 years or something like that, and they declined this year. So I have known this all year long and have been, looking strategically at those drop-off logs, looking at the maps, looking and asking. So just reaching out and going from my prime, these would be a great one, and reaching out to them, waiting for them, oh yeah, we forgot, going back and forth. So this is all year long, y'all. This is all year long working on this. And the deadline is tomorrow to add a central drop-off location, just in case you're wondering out there. But about 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I'm just sitting there trying again, looking at the map, looking at the drop-off logs, and church popped up and said Sugar Valley Baptist Church, and I'm like, okay. So I was at another drop-off location meeting with them, and I thought, I'm just going to drive and see how this is. So I rode to their parking lot, and it is in an idyllic setting. It is beautiful. There's cows. There's this little bitty pristine chapel with these beautiful stained glass windows. There's, the sun's shining, the clouds are fluffy. It's just really, really pretty setting. And there they are, right in the middle of it. It's just, just super pretty. And I thought, okay, Lord, I don't know if this is it. And I'm thinking, I'm not 100% sure how far they are from the expressway and how easy it is to get to. So I just pulled over in their parking lot and just sat there and prayed for a while and said, Lord, if you'll open the doors that, I'll step out and do, I'll ask them. And so I got home. I went home the other direction to see how far they were from the expressway. Well, they were 9 miles from the expressway from 75. And so I went home, and I think I'm going to go ahead and call him just because, feeling the Lord's prompting. And so I called and talked to the pastor. He's been there for 23 years, and he works at home the majority of the time. When the other pastors stepped away, they decided to use those salary dollars for missions. And, I'm talking to him, telling him about the opportunity as a central drop-off location. Their campus is perfect for it. I'm driving around going, oh, Lord, please. But when I was on the call with him, he's like, no, and he goes, I know Trinity, I know them, they stepped away for a reason. There's a red flag and all this, and he's like, you don't want us. We're in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, I do want you, but and so I'm talking, giving him the whole presentation, and finally I said, he's telling me where he is, and I said, Pastor, I sat in your parking lot and prayed to see if God wanted Sugar Valley to be the central drop-off for next year. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, I was in your parking lot. I didn't want to, bother you, knock on the door, but I was there. So long story short, we got paperwork in this morning, and got a great team leader in place. And when I met with him last week, my days were running together. The pastor said, I wanted to know that my confirmation from the Lord was that you told me you prayed for us, because otherwise I would have said no. Trinity's a lot bigger church. And he said, when I heard that he said, I know the ministry, I'm very familiar with it, but when I heard that the people of the ministry were praying, he said that sealed the deal for it. So that's my short example. And so don't give up. Don't give up. It's it's ninth hour, and Wendy was cringing because she's still got to work to get it into the system. But pray, y'all, pray. All of these things that we talked about at the beginning of the call, just pray first, and then step out. But I think we're done. Shelley, Tracy, do we have anything else for today? Do we want to cut everybody loose?
Yeah, we can cut everybody loose. And just want to say, to me, there's just a glaring hole on this call where Robin normally is, because she's always on the call. And y'all know Robin. I mean, she has such a passion for this. So just being mindful to continue to lift her up in prayer, and just believe in faith that she'll be back on the call with us next time.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Great job, Kathy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Good job, Kath. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.